Gamers, today I will be showing you one of the first 16 videos on how to cheese with every single civilization in the game. Now, if you don't know what cheesing is a build order where you're trying to get a cheap win. You're trying to be a sneaky snake. If you're playing against the same player 5 times, cheese strategies tend to not work because once it's scouted or once your opponent knows what you're doing, it's a lot weaker. But I have never done, actually in AoE4, I don't think I've ever done any cheese strats where, you know, we release some wild onto the ladder, so I figured why not? And we're gonna start with one of the least cheesy civilizations. It's going to be Abbasid. Some other civs have a lot better potential, but Abbasid is a pretty standard-ish civ. So I'm gonna show you a cheese build order that involves fast castling into Proxy Ghulams. Now, I do want to say, the moment this gets released, there's probably going to be a lot of people trying this strategy, or doing this strategy, or being aware of this strategy. So, people might scout it out and see what you're doing. But here we go. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is, again, it's not supposed to be a build that you do every single game, but you kind of mix it in sometimes. Maybe you're an Abbasid player, you send 5 games of, you know, you're playing Eco Wing, and then 1 game you do a little cheese. So, it's pretty unique. I don't know if you've seen it, probably not, but let's get into it. So, I'm going to play against an AI, then I'm going to show you a real game from earlier that I have played against the Conqueror player and won. So, just to see what that kind of looks like. So, we're going to be actually chopping 2 trees. And the reason we're going to be chopping 2 trees is we want to get to Golden Age. Once we do that, once we chop the 2 trees, we're going to have enough wood to build 10 buildings total, which is going to give us Golden Age 1, which is 15% gathering rate on all the resources. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to build a little house right here, and chopping 2 trees right here is going to give you enough wood for that. And because we're going to be doing a fast castle rush with basically no units, we're gonna be gathering that wood in Dark Age, because we might as well get the gathering speed as fast as possible, because we're gonna be just gathering with villagers for a very, very long time, and we need a good eco boost, plus you're gonna build those buildings anyway, okay? So, here we go. Right now I'm gonna start building a lot of houses and stuff. I can start already. I have 4 on food, which is plenty. So I can start doing this, build a couple of houses right there. I know it looks funny, but just let me cook. Now, once you do that, you're gonna slowly start aging up, and you're gonna try to mine as much gold as you can without over mining like crazy amounts, so that you can age up, and even if your gold gets disrupted, you still have enough gold to produce Ghulams. Now, regarding which civilization to use this against, against some civs it's going to work better, against some civs it's going to work worse. So, because it's a cheese, like I said earlier, it doesn't work 100% against every single civilization. But after this game I'm going to mention which civilization it's specifically better against and which civilization is specifically worse against. But in general, civilizations that have knights, it's not going to be as good because they can arrive in your base very, very quickly. And let me just build these up. And you basically want your gold to be uninterrupted mining for a while, so you don't want the opponent to you know, come to your base super quickly, disrupt the mining, and force you to make a tower, because if you're doing all of that, it's delaying the cheese that we're making. So here we go. Golden Age Tier 1 activated, so now all the villagers are gathering 15% more from all the resources, which is going to be a nice boost. Now, again, I know I've said it twice, but I'm going to say it again. This build is not supposed to work every single game. It's just something to mix up, cheese your opponents, and sometimes get a free win and get someone to mold it you a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna drop off the sheep. Now we want to gather out berries first. The reason we want to gather the berries first is that we go on the sheep later on, and we don't have to, you know, worry about getting our food disrupted or anything like that. Now, as I'm aging up here, I'm gonna put 5 on gold for now. I'm gonna rally a few more on berries, and I'm putting 1 on wood. The reason I'm putting 1 on wood is we want to get preservation of knowledge, which is 25 wood. We don't need any more buildings for now. And we're gonna get fresh foodstuffs. That's right, thank you. And we're gonna get fresh foodstuffs, which is 75 gold, to reduce the food cost for the villagers. We can already start rallying onto the sheep. You can leave 10, 11 on berries. They're gonna gather them out by the time the opponent arrives with anything. And again, I'm gonna show you after this game how this looks in a real game and give you some tips on how to handle certain situations. So at this point, this guy has gathered enough wood, so if you want, you can just move him once you get 25, or you can just leave him on wood. Like you know, if you can manage to micro him and move him on wood or leave him on wood, do that. If not, fudge it, it's not a big deal. Okay, so we want to have 8 on gold. Around this point where we're almost too close to aging up, we're going to put 8 on gold. The reason we're putting 8 on gold is because we're going to need 75 gold for this. We're going to need fresh foodstuff, 75 gold. And once we go culture wing, the reason we're going culture wing is because the age up to castle is going to be cheaper 20%, which is very, very important because that means we can age up to castle even faster. We get this immediately, we get fresh foodstuffs immediately, and fresh foodstuffs is also going to save us a bunch of food. I'm going to put some more on the gold. By the way, if you need to reorder your economy, basically, the way you should think about it, this is one very good way to know how to adjust your resources. This is Abbasid or any other civilization. Let me show you a second. Let me just scout here. 480 and 960. You can see they're very, very equal, right? So if I was at 200 here, but I needed basically 960 food, I would probably just put more on gold immediately so that I can equal that income a little bit. And here we go. Boom. Aging up at 557 with Abbasid 2 castle. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a lot on the wood. Now let me pause here for a second because I'm doing this live. It's not from replay. If I am getting attacked very soon, like let's say whatever units are coming, doesn't matter, longbows or this or that are coming, and you're worried that you're going to get your gold interrupted or harassed, what you can do, simply keep mining as much gold as you can, like I am right now, so that when you age up, you will have enough gold to produce Ghulams and you can kind of defend yourself. If you're not getting attacked at all and you're just chilling, you don't need to have 10 on gold because you're going to overmine and you're going to have way too many workers on gold at the same time. So you kind of need to balance that. If you're getting harassed, get as much gold as you can and then bail. If you're not getting harassed, you can mine gold at this point with like 7, 8 workers and be completely fine. Now, another thing you can do, let's pull these guys back, and we're going to put 10 on wood, and we're going to send 1 worker across. The reason we need 10 on wood is we want to be producing buildings. The reason we're pulling 1 worker across is because we want to make barracks across the map. Now, one thing that is very important when you do this, you need to know, or you need to try and find out where the opponent's scout is. Because if the opponent's scout went home this way, it's very unlikely that it's going to go back that way as well. So if you just saw your opponent's scout go like this home, then you should move your villagers behind it, because the scout will most likely come from the other side or come from the middle, but never go through the middle, okay? That is the most important thing. So, as I'm going around, you can usually, produce your barracks wherever is the farthest away from it potentially being scouted. Like if the opponent is maybe going pro scouts, don't make it near deer, If he's playing a civilization and might go pro scouts, don't make it near deer. If the opponent is a berry civ, don't make the barracks next to berries, stuff like that. So, let's say I get prevented now from mining gold, or even earlier. We're just gonna move those guys from there. Now my villager is a bit late, I could have sent it earlier. I'll show you in a real game afterwards. And now we're just gonna build barracks, and the idea is you can immediately produce one Ghulam. This barrack should also be going up already. And you get these 2 camel riders that you can use for harassment as well meanwhile, or for defense. You get Iron Undermash, which is also cheaper. You can get Boot Camp, which in the game that I'm going to show you I actually forgot to get. And right now, the whole plan is to just spam Ghulams into their base. If you're getting all in, you're going to defend with the camel riders. If you're not, you can just go across the map and harass with those as well. You can also get Military Academy if you have too much gold, but I would probably just advise you to get Bloomery for more damage for your Ghulams. We're just gonna keep producing the barracks. If the opponent, again, if they're here, you can try maybe go over here all the way down to get the gold. Or if you just cannot get gold, right? Let's say he's just camping there. What you can do is you can make a market, and then you can sell the wood in order to get the gold, because each Ghulam is only 30 gold, so you actually don't need crazy amounts of gold. The moment +1 finishes, you can already start rallying Ghulams into their base, because they're going to be super tanky. And if the opponent doesn't have knights, and if they have only like basic fighting units, they won't really be able to deal with Ghulams in any way. And again, if you're missing gold, like I am, just sell some wood, and you get gold again until you get control of your gold back. Now, if you're doing well on this side and your opponent is still camping your gold, 2 things you can do. Either go to the bottom one, like I said earlier, or you can even make a barracks in your own base and make a couple of Ghulams there to defend yourself. Now, when you send the Ghulams, don't send them all in one spot, right? Try to send them like everywhere. So if the opponent is mining gold, gathering food and wood, make sure to send at least 1 or 2 Ghulams at each location. So here I'm gonna send 1. Let's say he has like berries here, I'm gonna send 1 there. If he has wood here, I'm gonna send 1 there. And if he has any villagers running around the map and trying to hide, try to follow them. Eventually, you can move away. If you dealt enough damage, you can build a ram and try to end the game. Or you can just sit under the TC because the Ghulams are not really taking damage. And you can just idle his economy completely like this. Ghulams do a crap ton of damage, so any villagers that get caught are going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, if the opponent goes back home, look, I'm not gathering gold, I'm just going to sell some wood again. Boom, I got gold again. And when you run out of food, you have to go on the map. Now, obviously, this is not going to be 100% safe, so you're going to have to either cover it with towers or have some units defending. But the whole idea is to do this cheese with Ghulams and defend it. Now, I would say you can do this with 3 barracks. I think 1 or 2 is too little. 4 maybe an overkill. I think 3 gets the job done, and then you can produce some barracks in your base just to be able to defend. Now, regarding relics, you don't really need to get them because this is again, you're cheesing, you're trying to end the game, you're not trying to transition into macro gameplay, you want to win from here now. But if you're getting defended and absolutely butchered, but you did some damage, then you can start transitioning to something else. You can even make rams under the TC because of how little the damage Ghulams take. So, yeah. Now, let me leave the game and let me show you the replay that we just did with the volunteer from Twitch chat that had no idea what was coming. That's kind of what's going to happen when you play the ladder. If your opponent doesn't know about this build or hasn't seen this build, then I think you're going to have a very, very good chance of winning. So this was Byzantine versus Abbasid. Now, as to how do you defend this, so I will give quick tip how to defend this. Usually when I make guides, I don't really say how to defend whatever build I'm showing you, because most of the builds that I've shown you guys, they're very like, they're just macro builds or general builds, you know, standard builds. You can't really just say, oh, you do this and you win. But if you're ever facing this cheese, scouting is number 1. Obviously a big tell for the Abbasid is going to be the culture wing into 10 buildings in Dark Age, because there's no build that exists like that. So if you see Abbasid chopping wood in Dark Age on a land map and making 10 buildings, he might have seen the video and he might be doing the build that I'm showing you here. But also, if you know, you can scout for proxy buildings and stuff like that. So let me show you this game. This is again against a Conqueror player, where I just do the build that I just showed you guys. I build the lumber camp. You build the lumber camp for later, obviously, because you're gonna use it anyway. I'm going on the gold. Gathering food. Golden age tier 1. Honestly, you can probably get golden age at like 250. I got it at like 310 now. You can probably get it by 250 if the last 3 houses you just build with 3 different workers. So he's over here. And again, I got a volunteer from Twitch chat who is Conquer, and he did not know that I was going to do this build. Okay, so the whole point of him not knowing is to surprise him and to show you guys that if you surprise your opponents, even with builds that are not necessarily good builds, cheese builds, they can still work. And once again, I'm going to be making 15 more build orders on how to cheese with every single civilization. So I'm going to be teaching you guys, you know, the Mongol cheese, the French cheese. I got a lot of weird ideas in mind, so I think you guys will like them. And hopefully, well, not hopefully, it's not like that's why I'm doing it, but the latter might be a chaos for a month or 2. So, but good thing is, if you watch these videos, then you know the counter to it, right? So that's good. And I'm gonna try to say what the counter to the cheese is in every single video, okay? Okay, so here we go. I actually forgot to get fresh foodstuffs this game, so it actually was a lot worse than it should have been. Because I completely forgot that Abbasid has fresh foodstuffs. Well, I got it now, but it was a bit delayed. Like, it was like a minute delayed, which is crazy. Okay, so as I started aging up, I already sent my worker. So previous game that I was showing you, I sent the worker too late. As I clicked age up, I took 1 worker and I sent it around. Now, I saw his scout. I think I saw his scout go back home this way. His scout is somewhere here. Where is it? Oh, here. I saw his scout move this way because he scouted like this. And what I ended up doing is I sent the villager that way because I knew that he's not gonna go that route again because that would make no sense. He's going towards my base, or maybe he would go to this side. So the funny thing is, and he was typing in the game, he thought I am doing pro scouting, which the whole point of cheese builds, by the way, in I don't know how common they are in AoE4, because in other RTS games they're very popular, where people are, you know, they don't like playing against cheese builds. But the point of the cheese builds is to do something unique, something your opponent hasn't seen before, catch them off guard, and for them to be like, what the hell are you doing, kind of thing. And this game, he was rallying Limitene to deer because he thought I was doing pro scouting because I had a lot of villagers on gold. And he also was very confused about what am I doing with the culture wing. And they said, oh, culture wing, you're gonna go pro scouting because it's cheaper. Well, that's not what I did. Now, as you can see, let's say this Limitene was patrolling here for about 10 seconds. Second one arrives. Let's say he immediately ran to my gold. I would have been at 335 gold and I would stop mining, which at that point is okay. I got enough gold. Longbows are coming. But again, I got all the gold that I need for the initial barracks Ghulam spam and +1 ranged armor. Now, I do want to say I have not tried it against civilizations that can hit a lot faster, like maybe at 530 or 6. Potentially, what you can do is chop an extra 100 wood and make a tower so that you can still continue mining gold. But if you do that, then you're in this weird situation where you gotta defend your gold or something like that, but you can try it. So, again, what you can try, if this doesn't work for you, try chopping an extra 100 wood and just making a tower with 1 villager after you start aging up to feudal age, and then you'll have that little bit of protection. So if these 2 Limitene arrive, they can't really do anything still, and the opponent needs to make like rams or something in order to break you. So the barracks, you can see a lot better timing this game than the previous game. Barracks is done, making another one. Blacksmith is done already. I actually forgot bootcamp this game, by the way. It's the first time I was doing this build ever. Like, I didn't really practice this build. So Camel Riders are out. If I was playing against some Cavalry Civ, you can try chase their Knights or chase their Horsemen, because Camel Riders are obviously a pretty big counter to Cavalry, so they can do really well there. What I ended up doing is I tried to go across the map and maybe harass his gold or something, because again, you're trying to bamboozle your opponent. You're trying to confuse your opponent. You're not trying to like just... You're trying to make him be like, what is happening? Why is he attacking here? The longbows are already coming, by the way. They're rallied straight from the base. Someone said earlier that the longbows were too late. They're not. They are... he made them immediately when he had the oil. He just made a second batch. Right now, I'm producing Ghulams. I am chopping wood back home. Now, mind you, these games might get messy. This game got pretty messy, and you'll see what happened exactly. Iron Undermash is almost done. I did go for 4 barracks. Again, I did not go for boot camp. I tried to mine some more gold, but he had units there. Now, what I should have done right here, made a market and just chilled on the wood line. That's what I should have done, and I should have just made Ghulams, and that's it. What I did is I tried to get this a bit too early, and then there was like chaos and villagers fighting, but you'll see. So the Ghulams arrive, and he has 2 options here, which is another good thing, because unless you're a very experienced like high conquer player, most people will make the bad decisions in this case, because you're dictating all the tempo, you know what's going on. They are like, oh my god, there's Ghulams in my base. A lot of people will panic, idle villagers, their units are gonna run into your TC, their units are gonna idle, and so on and so forth. So, again, you wanna hit all the different sides. You wanna hit the wood line, the food, the gold, everything at the same time. So he has 2 options. A, go back home and defend, which doesn't work, because if he goes back home now, not only his eco is idle, but now I can just go on these berries and I can go back to gathering resources, and I'm just gonna spam Ghulams, and Ghulams are obviously gonna beat his army. So that doesn't work. Second option is to just continue all-inning, which, because Abbasid landmarks, I mean, this has 12,000 health, this has 7,000 health, and I have fire armor, it's gonna take forever for him to eliminate me, and I can probably kill all his villagers by then. So, he's running away. I check the wood line, I'm checking the gold. Now what I'm doing here is I'm gonna check all the food sources. Look at this. I'm checking the berries in the bottom, checking the deer, checking this deer and these berries. Left 1 Ghulam on the farms to make sure he doesn't get anything there. And at this point, he is on a clock, right? He needs to do something here to end the game or to do severe amounts of damage, because all his eco is idle. This guy's about to arrive at the bottom. These guys are idle in the town center. Now this is where I try to get some food, but he had units already there, which was very good from him. And what I ended up doing is I felt, okay, I'm in a pretty good spot. His eco is idle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start rallying back home. And this is where I think 3 barracks here and then 1 barracks home is probably the play. Because what I could have done right now is stop making Ghulams here and produce Ghulams back home to defend this. I could have even put 2 barracks actually. And remember to use your market in games like this, because it's a very messy game. So just use your market to sell wood or, you know, sell food, whatever you need to get resources properly. So I have Ghulam here killing. I already have 7 workers killed. I put a Ghulam on my side of the map for food, because if he's not getting food, he can't age up. He can't produce any units, so he's kind of cooked from there on out. And if you look, the income is slowly plummeting. He still has some gathering here that I did not take care of. But he can't really produce much because he doesn't have wood or gold. So now, Ghulams are coming back home. He's got 9 longbows here. All the other stuff died or went back. Look at that. Ore is on this side. I just pull the villagers. I just kill this and I go back to gathering food. The Ghulams arrive, and obviously that's not going to be good news for him. The worker count there at the end, even after all that, was 37 to 29 for me. So I didn't really lose many workers. and he had so much idle time. And as long as you're producing Ghulams, it doesn't really matter because you kind of caught them in feudal age and you have castle Ghulams. Now, let me show you which civs this is very good against and which civ this would be very bad against. So civs that this would be pretty good against would be Byzantine, because they don't have, they have Keshiks, but Ghulams will kill Keshiks. Byzantine, Abbasid mirror, this would be pretty good. But then again, they have Camel archers, so it's like if you manage to cut off the Camel archer production, they're kind of cooked. And even if they do have an archer range, producing that many Camel archers to prevent you from just killing everything is too many. Against Ayyubids, it could work pretty well, but have in mind that Ayyubid can also rush castle. So for now, Byzantine, very good. Abbasid, very good. I think this can work against China and Jushi if you catch them off guard. Against HRE, I don't see why it wouldn't work. Against Order of the Dragon as well, it would work against Delhi. Against English as well, because if they do produce a lot of units, there's going to be a lot of longbows. So in that case, you're fine with Ghulams. Now against Malian, again, Malian, China, and Jushi is kind of interesting because they do have units to respond to you in Zuginu and in Musafari warriors. But the thing is, if they don't scout that you're doing this, they're not going to have enough of them in time, and then the Ghulams are just going to kill everything. It should work against Mongols, even though, like I said, they have Keshiks. Keshiks they have too low HP, so they're going to die. It should work against Ottoman. Now, against the Knight civs, such as Rus, JD, French, in theory, it shouldn't work because they have Knights to defend. But at the same time, you have to remember, we're not talking about high conquer level where the players will be doing like the charge micro and all that. We're talking about a level where at 8 minutes, how many knights can they have? 3-4 knights, and you're going to mass produce Ghulams. As long as you idle their economy, you can still kill knights with Ghulams. So my advice is try it against every single civilization and see how it works. I would actually say that the civs you might struggle the most against are the castle rush civs, because you're doing a castle rush, but they're also doing a castle rush. So if you arrive in castle at the same time as them, that's probably not good for you, because you're making Ghulams. Let's say Japanese ages up to castle same time as you, and then they start producing mounted samurai. That's not really going to work out for you, because Ghulams versus mounted samurai, you're going to get dented in. Or if they produce Onamushas, same thing against Ayyubid. It can work if Ayyubid stays in feudal, but if Ayyubid rushes castle like you, they might even get to castle faster, and then they might produce Camel Lancers. So my advice, try it against every single civilization, but against castle rushing civs like Japanese and Ayyubids, or whatever league you're playing in, whichever civs are rushing castles super fast, it might not work against. But as long as you idle their economy, you should be able to kill any feudal units that exist by just having more units than they do. And last but not least, for the 4th time, remember, this is a cheese strat. It's not supposed to work every single game. Do not do it against the same player twice, like Cascade said in the chat. And sometimes you're going to get free wins. That's what cheesing is in RTS games. You get a little nasty win. It's like you didn't really deserve it, you know, but it's kind of funny that when you do it. So there it is. Try it out. See how it works. And I wanted to start with Abbasid because, like I said, Abbasid has probably the least amount of potential to cheese out of any civilization. Other civs have way more disgusting cheeses. So for example, I'll be showing you how to do the Chinese Barbican rush, which is very, very cheesy. I'll be showing you how to do stuff like Burger with HRE, maybe some more proxy stuff. Proxy stuff is when you build buildings in front of the enemy base. We will see. Anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see which next one it is going to be. I am not yet sure. Twitch gamers, let's keep going.